All right, good morning. Thank you for joining us for the Wellness Grant Information session. We're going to get started here just a second. Okay, I think that's everyone in the waiting room. All right. Thank you for joining us. Here's what we're going to cover today. We'll cover, let's make sure we get everybody on mute. All right. We'll cover our mission and vision, the eligibility for this program, some of the details, what kind of proposals we're looking for, what the process looks like, and then we'll have time for Q&A. We will get you out of here in much less than an hour, probably closer to 30 minutes. And again, this will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel, so you can go back to it later if you'd like, or share with others. All right, so that's what we're going to cover today. And you know us, we're the Lumpkin Family Foundation. We are trying to build healthy communities in East Central Illinois. That's our goal. That's our mission.
Christina, can you introduce who you are so people on the call know who you are?
Good idea. That's a good idea. Hi, I'm Christina Crost. I'm the program officer for local programs. I'm sitting in Mattoon, Illinois right now. Monique, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Monique Schlickerby. I'm a senior program officer with the foundation, and I oversee the Chicago programs and other things, but I'm in Chicago.
All right, and we have one more staffer on here. Linda, do you want to say hi? Uh-oh, if you're talking, we can't hear you. I swear Lindy was on here. Is Lindy not on here? Okay, maybe Lindy's not on.
I don't see her.
Okay, well, Lindy is who you would call if you have questions with the actual grant interface with Foundant, something like that. Lindy is who you would try to touch base with on that. So with that, let's go to the next slide. So again, these are the values of the Lumpkin Family Foundation. We thought this was important just to kind of frame it as what we care about, and what we care about is how we help our community and how you help us make that mission happen. Let's go quickly to, okay, so this is probably the part that's pretty pertinent to everybody. So the Lumpkin Family Foundation was formed in East Central Illinois, specifically in Mattoon, Illinois. So this is kind of the territory where most of our work happens, although we have programming in Chicago as well. And that's a different map. But we do programming, again, East Central Illinois focused, and also in Chicago. So for this program, for the wellness program, if you are a grantee of one of the land health community programs, either in East Central Illinois or in Chicago, you're eligible. If you have been a nature-based climate action grantee, you would be eligible. And if you are one of the Neighborhood Fresh program grantees, you would be eligible. Let's go to the next slide. All right, Monique, I'm going to pass it to you.
So we started this grant as a pilot last year. Was our first year doing it, and basically the impetus understanding, well, one, the foundation shifted to sort of expanding one of our program areas to mental health a few years ago. And that funding was really for organizations doing mental health work, work in the community, so youth-based organizations, et cetera, mental health clinics doing mental health work. But then we're like, well, the people within our grantee organizations also need support. You know, we're in a trying time politically, and there's a lot of burnout, and we're really concerned about sort of the mental health wellness of people who work within our grantee organizations. And so we expanded our sort of purview of what mental health programming look like, to not just look at organizations, but to look at people who work within those organizations. So that was the impetus of this grant program. You could go to the next slide, Christina. And so we came up, so Last year, we just did the wellness grants, and this year, we're pleased to say that we've actually expanding it to not just a wellness grant, but also sabbatical leave grant. And so these are two different funding sources. So the first is a wellness grant, and for any organization that has received funding from the foundation in the last three fiscal years, so including North Lawndale Fresh, who we just funded, a week ago, you're eligible to apply for funding for the wellness grant. And the wellness grant is a one-time grant up to $2,500. And we're saying, well, one-time grant, even though we will consider applications from those who received a wellness grant last year. So though we're saying it's one time, and our desire is to fund people who did not receive grants last year, we're still open to applications for people who received grants last year, understanding once again that we're in a trying time. And so we're just trying to be sort of as flexible as possible. The next thing this says is that our preference is for organizations with a budget under $1 million. While that is our preference, that is not a strict criteria. So if you are an organization over $1 million, we will still take your application and consider it. I say application, but it's a very short application. We'll still take your application and consider it, but understand that there's a preference for smaller organizations and first timers. But once again, we're trying to be as flexible and expansive as possible, understanding the needs of organizations and the people who work within it, but also understanding that our funds are somewhat limited. So we're trying to be sort of as inclusive, but also trying to really target those organizations that are smaller and might be sort of more in need of these funds. You could go ahead, Christina. And so what's different is, and what's new is the sabbatical leave program. Now, we understand that most organizations don't have the luxury, the leisure, and the privilege of having a formal sabbatical leave policy, but we are hoping that with this funding that we're giving organizations an opportunity to consider a leave or a leave of rest for one of their senior leaders. And so some organizations have sabbatical policies where they're saying, after 7 years, a leader could take, whatever, 6 weeks to 3 months or whatever off. These are very popular in academia, like after a certain year, when you get tenure, you can take a sabbatical. Regardless, we're opening the idea that if you are an organization, if you have a sabbatical leave policy, or you're willing to consider a sabbatical leave policy, that you might consider applying for this grant. Christina, can you go to the next slide? So whereas the wellness grant is a grant for up to $2,500, the sabbatical leave is a grant for the organization for up to $10,000. And it's for a senior leader. So executive director, president, CEO, chief development officer, someone at the senior level of your organization. We're asking that they take a minimum of 6 weeks to take a sabbatical leave, and that this grant will help to either backfill or however your organization needs to fill for that leader's absence. And just so you know that if you're an organization, you cannot apply for both a wellness grant and a sabbatical leave grant at the same time. So this year, if you choose a wellness grant, you can't do a sabbatical and vice versa. But if you got a wellness grant last year, sure, you could do a sabbatical grant this year. So it's up to you which one you would like to pursue and which one works better for your organization. Christina?
All right.
Just got started.
So the sabbatical policy and the sabbatical program is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to give you a few examples of some wellness proposals that you might start thinking about. These are examples of things that we received last year in some of our proposals, and we thought, these might help spark some thoughts for you. So some kind of a team building activity that helps to reduce stress, bringing remote staff together, more and more of us not working in a particular workplace, but being, separated by distance and time. Bringing people together can sometimes be a really good thing for organizational wellness. Activities that engage in the natural environment, getting outdoors. We know that that promotes physical and mental wellness. So any kind of activity where you're getting your staff outdoors is a great idea. Kind of a subscription to an online or an in-person service that can promote physical and mental health, as well as like work-life balance for your employees would be an interesting proposal to look at. You could also consider designing some kind of a retreat that would help build relationships with your staff, or maybe even other leaders within your sector that you'd like to get to know better. Or taking some time to celebrate the successes of people in your organization or your network. That could be a really positive thing for wellness. And then finally, maybe if you're, again, physically based somewhere, creating some kind of a space in your workplace for either rest or meditation or stretching throughout the day, again, to just kind of have a place of peace and wellness and rest in the actual physical workplace. So those are just some examples of some proposals that we have seen and we'd like to continue.
Can I chime in here also, Christina? So this is sort of like what we're looking for to some degree. I guess what we're not looking for is sort of like business as usual. So like if you just have a staff meeting or something that you were planning on doing anyway, to just look for support for that activity. What we're hoping for is that like this funding, though it's not, millions of dollars, but this funding will allow you to do something that you wouldn't normally had the time or thought or resources to do. So to plan something that sort of really geared towards the rest of your workers and employees. And it's not just sort of like another work meeting or another business meeting, but it's something truly that brings rejuvenation and rest. And so that's what we're hoping for. Yeah, so like I said, it's not just like, oh, we have every Thursday or every month we have a staff meeting. This would be great to fund that. That's not what we're looking for. We don't want to prescribe, like this list of these 5 things are not a prescription. It's sort of just an idea to get your mind flowing, but we're hoping that you can use it to sort of, give employees a break. So.
All right. So to see some examples of what happened and what our grantees did last year, you could look at our grantee database. This is on our website. You can use the filter by the grant program section. This is just a screenshot, but you'd be able to drop down this menu and you look for wellness grant there. And then you can see the grantees from last year and just a quick summary, a sentence or two of what they used the funds for. So if you, again, are looking for more ideas, you can find that in the grantee database. Oops. So the process for these grants looks like this. You're going to apply through Foundant. And again, since applicants to this process have already been through a process with us, either with LHC or the Fresh programs or whatever. So you'll already be familiar with Foundant. So you'll apply through Foundant, and it is just an LOI process. It is a short application, not even application, short LOI that briefly asks some questions about what you're thinking about doing and how this would fit within your mission and promote wellness within your organization. Then the staff at Lumpkin Family Foundation will take all of the LOIs and look through them and discuss them. And we'll make final decisions the week of June 23rd. So this is a fairly quick turnaround for us and probably for you as well. But again, it's just a short LOI. It's not a big, huge, full application. And then we've decided to really reduce the reporting burden on you. Again, these are kind of fairly small dollar amount grants. And so we will have a conversation. If you are a program or if you are a grantee of the Chicago programs, you'll have a conversation with Monique. If you're a grantee of the East Central Illinois programs, we'll have a conversation sometime next year, probably in the spring, about how it went. You'll send us some pictures or some videos if you have them, quick summary of how it went. We're really not looking for a full post-grant report on this. And again, that's because you don't have time for that. And, that just helps the overall organizational wellness to reduce that burden on our grantees. Okay, so the important dates that you need to know then are the letters of inquiry are open and accepted starting June 2nd through the 16th. So again, fairly quick turnaround, 2-week LOI process. And then we will have about a week or so where we go through all of the LOIs And then we will make an announcement by email to all of the applicants by the week of June 23rd. You'll hear from us one way or the other. And then sometime in the spring again of 2026, we'll have a check-in on how you're doing. And again, fairly informal, pretty low burden there. All right, so now we're at the questions part of the conversation. So if you have a question that was not answered by the presentation, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Michael Sandler. I'm with Orchard Village. My first question is, we're located in Skokie, Illinois. I know that's not East or Central Illinois, but it seems like we would be eligible for a wellness grant. Would you encourage us to apply?
Michael, you're not a current grantee of the foundation, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So the grant funding is for those who have received funding in the last 3 years.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's it's less of where you're located and much more sort of like, have you received funding in the last 3 years of the foundation? And so
Okay.
for Skokie, it would be a stretch, but you would fall more in the Chicagoland programming than you would in the East Central Illinois programming.
Okay. And like this particular LOI is only for past for organizations that have received past funding?
Correct.
Correct. Do you have newer programs?
I didn't hear the last question.
Are there grant programs for organizations that have not yet received funding?
Yes. So the Chicago Land Health Community Chicago is opening in the fall.
Okay.
So August, I believe, is where the LOIs are due. So if you look at our website, just look at Land Health Community Chicago.
Right.
And then that's the next program that's sort of like you would qualify for.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Hey, Kristen, can you stop the share for a moment just so I can see people?
Yes. Give me 1 second to figure out how to do that. There we go.
Oh, I see you guys. Hi.
That's better. All right.
Cassandra, did you have a question? Or you just
No, I was saying hi. Oh wait. I was saying hi because I could see you. I thought, oh, I see you. I see your face. So anyway,
Perfect.
hi everyone.
Looks like Catherine has a question.
I do, yes. So I know you said we would be eligible if we received funding from the organization already. Is this any grant funding or is it specific grant funding that we would have had to receive from Lumpkin?
Have you received grant funding?
Yes.
For what?
So the grant that we were awarded was specifically for one of our like programs. I believe it's called like Pedal to Wellness. It's for one of our Bikes and Roses.
In Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah.
So
your organization would qualify.
will qualify. Okay,
Yes.
great. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't like a specific grant that we. Okay, thank you so much.
Nope, no problem. Any other questions? Any questions about the sabbatical program since that's new? How many on the call today have received wellness grants already? Raise a hand. Okay, awesome. Anyone want to give a testimony while we're waiting for questions? Sure.
My name is Bo Scott. I'm the executive director of Fit to Serve. So we're a small nonprofit in Mattoon, Illinois. I am the only paid staff. So we relied heavily on AmeriCorps Vistas in the past to do the work that we do. So at this time, 2 years ago, we had 7 Vistas and we were able to do a lot of programming, a lot of work in our community. We're now down to 1 Vista and we're being told that may end. I mean, they could get a call today and say, don't return to work. So not knowing that the landscape was going to be what it is now, this wellness grant program that we were introduced to last summer and began able to being used in the fall was amazing at engaging volunteers and keeping our team recharged. Kind of like you said at the outset of the call, it was so good for our team to be able to go to a meal together. You know, we're a small not-for-profit, so we're needy. And so we don't have the resources to be able to do team building activities like going to a murder mystery dinner theater together, things like that. We actually do programs in the Mattoon school system. So in early December of last year, we got together as a team and made peanut clusters and cookies and then delivered those to all the teachers that we work with. And then obviously the team got to take those home as well. So it opened a lot of doors for us to be able to be cheerleaders for the volunteers and team members that we've been blessed to have. So thank you guys for that. It was amazing.
Thanks, Bo, for sharing. Preston, you had your hand up. You were just acknowledging that you got a grant, or did you have something to say?
I was, but I can also share.
Sure.
Yeah, glad to share. So opposite of Bo, I work at One Family Illinois. We're a much larger family services agency, and a small part of what we do is promoting wellness and outdoor activity. And our grant with Lumpkin funds a community garden at one of our sites and some nutrition classes there. But we're an agency of about 150 staff, part-time and full-time. And so we used our wellness grant last year for an offsite catered winter party, which, you know, may not seem like a whole lot, but for our staff to show up and have, usually we have several sites, so we usually host the party at our site. But it was nice for us to just be able to outsource that and not put the burden of hosting the party on our own team, you know, the admin staff that usually put those things together. To have it fully catered and for folks to show up. You know, it was a bit more formal dressed than normal. If it's at our site, it's like a jeans and hoodie kind of thing, but you know, folks dressed up a bit. So it's nice to boost morale and take the burden of hosting that party off of the staff that do that, and they really could just enjoy the party like everyone else. So we greatly appreciated the opportunity to have the grant last year.
Thanks, Preston.
That's great. I have a quick follow-up question. For the retreat, I mean, that's a great idea. As you know, an employee retreat. I think my senior leadership, I think, would be definitely interested in that. As far like, just like this would just not like you're not going to fund like an entire weekend retreat, right? This would just be like a, you know, like a murder mystery dinner or something like that. Like Bo said, is that more what you're looking for?
It's whatever you can afford of $2,500.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you want to do a weekend retreat, then so be it. I mean, people have done more
Okay.
than one day. So it's sort of how you can balance it and how much time off your staff can take. So it's completely up to you.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Tanae, are you off?
I am. Hi, my name is Taya Higginbotham. I am the president and CEO of the Reality Project. I apologize for the delay. Our organization deals with racial injustice and racial equity. And I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you to the Lumpkin Foundation just for providing an opportunity for grantees to potentially experience these opportunities of wellness. And it's needed. So just thank you.
Thanks, Tanae. And those are really great glasses. I love them. Thank you.
Thank you. And we know, and we're so grateful to you all for the work that you do. And, you know, we just want to try to support y'all as best we can during it all. So if there are no other questions, any other questions? No. Okay.
And you could also, reach out to me or Christina if you have questions. As we said, though, the process is very truncated, so it's a very, very short process. So if you have questions, please reach out. And you might want to CC Lindy Wheatley on those, because she probably has more answers than either me or Christina usually have. So.
Right. And so my email, just Christina@lumpkinfoundation.org. Monique's is Monique@lumpkinfoundation.org. You'll be able to find us there. We're also reachable on our website. You can find our email addresses on there as well. Although we know most of you already, or some of you already at least. And I think that's everything. So like I said, we got you out of here in less than 30 minutes. Hey. So again, this will be recorded, put on our YouTube page. You can refer back to it later or share with other organizations that are grantees of us that might benefit from this work. We thank you for the work you're doing and have a great day.